Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to week 12, and we're going to talking about insurance this week. So hopefully you've survived our bankruptcy and credit card discussions, and looking forward to something a little bit different. So a little bit of a switch in tempo. Let's go ahead and take a peek. So again, we can click on Content up here, scroll down to week 12, select that. Just a quick overview as you look. Notice that everything's due on Saturday the 9th. So the quiz, we've got our essay here that's due. You can see it's all due at the 9th, and it's got the time. I do want to point out sometimes they have 11 o'clock for most of them, and some of them, like the first portion of the activity, the discussion activity, they've got 11:59. So be aware there is a little bit of variation between the two on there, but everything's due on the 9th. So let's go ahead and take a peek. Let's see where we're at with each of these. So the first part is the activity itself, and it's going to go through the different types of insurance. It's going to start off with some basic information on insurance and how they actually, like the concepts behind it. So the first one is this risk pooling. Just understanding that some of you are extremely low risk to use insurance, but to balance out those that are high risk, we have to have low risk individuals as well. Otherwise, insurance is simply not affordable. So read through that, take a look, and try to get an understanding of how that works. Understand what is actually insurable, that insurance is going to cover just anything, and they're very specific about the limits that they'll cover and the different types of activities that they'll cover. We've got homeowners insurance, renters insurance, so know the difference with those. I would encourage, if someone does not have renter's insurance, to please consider it if you're renting. In most cases that I've seen working with clients, if they only have car insurance right now, adding renter's insurance to the policy will actually save them money, because most insurance places will give you a discount for having multiple policies with the same company, different types of policies with the same company. So take a look. Rental insurance is very, very cheap, and just recognize that if a fire were to happen or a flood and your belongings, someplace that you're renting, are damaged or destroyed, they are not covered by the landlord's insurance. His insurance only covers the property and those items that belong there. Learn how to determine the value of your belongings. This one's actually really important. Again, I've worked with some clients who thought they had an insurance policy that would cover something, but many insurance policies have specifics in regards to jewelry, guns, special collections, and instruments. So be sure that the policy that you are looking at actually covers what you have, and the best way to do that is to do a home inventory, and it talks about this here. So you want to have a pretty good feel for what that looks like. You know, those special collections, I had one client that came through, and he had a particular game that he liked a lot, and he had a lot of these cards, and it turned out he had $15,000-$20,000 worth of these cards, and a normal insurance policy would have never covered those at all. But fortunately, he had a special appraiser come in and take a look, and even though there was a cost associated with that, if something were to happen, he's now covered because they wrote that into the policy. And then learning a little bit more about the insurance and calculating the different amounts, so understanding some of the differences between just the cost to repair the home or the cost to rebuild the home, including the potential for an increase in construction prices. So just understanding what your insurance will cover, and then the liability side, which means if someone does something on your property and they get injured. Now, your insurance company doesn't want to pay at all. For example, one of my oldest son broke his arm playing at grandma's house on the trampoline. Now, even though we took him to the hospital and gave him our insurance, because of the information on there, of course our insurance didn't want to pay for it. And they contacted my mother's insurance, and it ended up being a claim against the homeowner's policy, because that's where the accident occurred, was on her property. So my mom's homeowner's insurance is who actually ended up covering my son's broken arm. So just understand kind of how that works and what that would look like. Life insurance is the next section there. So it goes through the different types of life insurance and term and whole life. Just encourage you to read through that and be aware of what the risks are for you and your family, and consider what you can do to kind of minimize and protect them in the case of those risks. If you have children at all, you need to have some kind of life insurance on you or your spouse, so that if something happens to you, the kids can be taken care of as well. It's a lot of information this week, so I'd encourage you to take a little extra time as you read through that, and then when you do your quiz, go ahead and have this information pulled up on the side so you can refer back to that. All right. The quiz is the second activity as always. The next one is an essay. Now this is your first honest to goodness full-blown essay where the entire 50 points is all sunk into this one activity. So it says to search online for a reputable article addresses the current status of U.S. healthcare system. So by reputable, we're encouraging you to look at news organizations, like NPR. Obviously, if you do something like CNN or Fox or MSNBC, recognize there's going to be a certain degree of bias there. Another good option would be to look, sometimes there are nonprofits, organizations like that that will do an assessment of these things, but you need to identify an article. If you want to have a second one, that's fine too, that looks at the current status of our healthcare system. You need to read it. I would suggest printing it off or copying the text over so you can highlight it, underline it, and make notes. And then you're going to write an essay on it. So the full 50 points is straight in. That means you need to have a very clear thesis statement identifying what the essay will be about. You need to introduce the topic. You need to list those supporting arguments that you're going to have, and then on each paragraph work through one of those arguments. Each of them should support the thesis statement that you provided above. After you've presented your arguments, then you need to have a conclusion where you summarize the information that you've presented, tie it all back into your thesis statement, and wrap up the essay. So as you can see, it should include a summary, which you can integrate with your own. Write the objective. You're going to put everything down, the logical points and things, like I said, as you work through it. And then when you say conclude it with your own thoughts and support, I honestly don't mind if you mix those together. In fact, I would prefer it if you identify a particular point from the article, the author, and then you say this is what he said, and this is what I or she said, and this is what I think about that same issue, or this is why it is important to me or resonated with me, or why I disagree with it. It's actually a little easier to see some of those. Make sure that you are very clear on when you're citing the author of the article and when you are actually just referring to yourself. I shouldn't have to wonder when I read the essay if there's a statement that's made. It should be clear to me if that's coming from you or from them. If you'd like some ideas, USU's got this little information on how to write a research paper and walks through some of the different steps that we talked about a little bit and gives some tips there. So I'll post a link to this, and there's other websites you can look at as well that give you some ideas on how to write a solid research paper. So again, that's 50 points. That's our big assignment for the week. That's going to be an essay. Now it says that there is no minimum amount of time, which is true. However, at 50 points, I would expect it to at least be a couple of pages. That's just the reality of taking the time to write through it. Double-spaced 12-point font. You can see, if you have questions on it, please let me know, but that's really what I'm looking for. It's a clear, concise essay. I know what articles that you're using. I know which points belong to the author, which points belong to you. A couple pages in length at least, and I think you've got a pretty good idea of what we're looking for. All right, the next one is the activity, the interactive activity on the discussion boards. So as you can see, as always, we have our intro post due on Tuesday. And this one you're going to do a little research into 3 different types of insurance. Now, the grading rubric down here is provided, so you need to tell me rates and basic coverage reported for health, home, and auto insurance. So when you see pick out an insurance provider, think about the different ones that are available in your area and check with a couple of them and just identify which one has good rates and post that. Okay. The second step then is, so you're going to do those things. You're going to post for each one of them and then talk about what in the coverage is important. Why is it that you chose this auto insurance rate compared to something else? If you don't talk about each one of those, realize you're going to lose a few of these points that are available for that portion of it. Okay. After you've posted the 3 different types of insurance and your little discussion about why it's important, then we need to talk to other students about it. So think about the fact that we have limited resources, what we're giving up for something else. Talk about them, what they thought was important, what they found. Do you have any questions about the type of insurance company and what's going on there? And it should be fairly straightforward. So after you reply to them, the discussion wraps up on Saturday, but as always, I would like you to respond. So this initial post is due by Tuesday. That means I want to see responses to other students by Thursday to give them an opportunity to reply back as needed so that we can then wrap up the discussion on Saturday. Okay? So initial response our initial post on Tuesday, respond to other students by Thursday, and then let's wrap it up on Saturday. And then last but not least, we end the week with a free write. So again, just a reminder, it's 10 minutes, and it has the 2 different points, summary of things that you learned this week, and how it applies, insights, things that you saw, or things that have happened in your life that you're able to apply. And even if it's something from a previous week and it's just an insight you picked up, that's fine too. But I encourage you to have both of those in order to get the full 10 minutes. So that wraps up the instructor's notes. I hope it should be very clear what I'm looking for on the essay in particular, and also the time frame for a discussion. So let me know if you have any questions. You can shoot me an email or send me a text. If we need to, we can certainly call or Skype or something as well. So I hope you have a fantastic week this week. It's beautiful weather out there right now, and part of what we're looking at here is recognizing the gospel principles, and with insurance, we're really trying to take those steps to provide a safety net for us and our family. The scriptures tell us that if we are prepared, we need not fear, and that is certainly the case. That when something bad happens, like the death of a loved one or an accident, we don't want to be worried about how we're going to pay for it or how we're going to take care of it. Rather, we need to focus on healing and helping those around us, and we can do that if we're properly insured and taken care of. I love each and every one of you.